Hello, welcome to Strictly Money at the News Forum, where all voices matter. I'm your host, Saijal Patel. More than half of young Canadians are relying on the bank of mom and dad to meet their financial goals. This according to a new study by Edward Jones Canada. But while Gen Z and millennials are most likely to receive funds, they're also the most likely to give back as well. Julie Petrera is Senior Strategist of Client Needs at Edward Jones Canada, and she joins me now with more on the research. Hi, Julie. Great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, Saijal.
So more than half, or 54%, said they need a financial inheritance or windfall to reach their financial goals, which was 13% more than the national average. Did this come as a surprise to you, and what's behind it?
So that wasn't surprising itself, right? It's common. So the piece that is common is to see funds transfer from, say, parents or grandparents to children or grandchildren to help them with their goals. So we know that housing prices are rising. We know that the cost of living is rising, and these young people have goals and sometimes rely on gifts as a source of income, let's call it, or a source of cash to fund those goals.
Yeah, so we have a board that shows what prompted the wealth transfer. And you mentioned the housing, because we typically talk about that, right? The bank of mom and dad supporting buying homes. But I thought what was interesting, Julie, is that a lot of it seems to have been driven by the pandemic, things like job loss.
Correct. Yeah. So with the pandemic and the economy. So what we traditionally think of as prompting gifts is buying homes. And that category, major purchases, actually was third on the list, with the first on the list, as you mentioned, being personal financial factors. So things like job loss, unforeseen health expenses, etc. Second on the list, we saw factors related to the economy. So again, inflation, interest rates, things that we didn't plan for, that are very prominent in the economy today. Third on the list, major purchases. So buying a home, major renovations, buying a car, IVF treatments, and followed by significant life events. So having a child, a graduation, a milestone birthday, etc.
Yeah. The home purchase and the car, do you have any sense? I don't know if the report actually showed this. Is it straight up giving, or do they typically arrange some sort of loans or agreement?
Yeah, the question was asked about giving. So we don't know if there are, underground requirements to repay it, but the question was asked as giving.
Okay. Also, what was interesting was that this group is most likely to receive a financial inheritance, but they're also most likely to give one. And I found that a bit surprising. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was surprised too. So 25% of Canadians aged 18 to 34, so millennials and Gen Z, have either given and or received a financial inheritance or windfall since the start of the pandemic. And that group, so that's 11% higher than the national average. So while we know that they're most likely to receive financial inheritances, we also saw them being most likely to give financial inheritances. So we've all heard of the bank of mom and dad, and what we're seeing emerge is the bank of brothers and sisters, the banks of children, and even the bank of friends.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Do you notice, I guess, a notable difference between, say, boomers or like the older generation versus the younger generation? And I mean, the way they give and take, and perhaps why?
Yeah, the why. So what prompts them to give is a little bit different. This group, everybody in this group, right, above age 35 and below age 35, they've lived through a pandemic. And they did this at different ages or stages in their lives. And in this time, what's important to people has become more clear. And how and when they want to go after what's important to them has changed. And along with that, so did certain behaviors. And gifting is one of those behaviors that we've seen change.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see also the aftermath, right? We've gone through the pandemic, but we're in a situation now where we are seeing possibly a recession, inflation issues. So it'll be interesting to see those numbers. Any insight onto what sort of trends we could see?
Well, we're starting to see a trend with respect to giving, especially with the older generations, where they're starting to pull back, or the research says that, when we ask, do you wish to leave an inheritance in your lifetime, year over year. So from last year at this time, we've seen that number come down. So we know that Canadians are concerned with the uncertainty related to the factors that you just mentioned. So inflation, interest rates, market volatility, and longevity.